Hello, welcome back here in the CAYDEN'S Weather Center. Right now we are paying attention here on September 3rd, right now here about noon. We are paying attention right now to three areas of interest out here in the Atlantic. A new area of interest that formed over here by the National Hurricane Center, kind of just over the mid-Atlantic in the MDR. We have that tropical wave still coming off off the west coast of Africa here, and it's continuing to show some pretty signs of improvement here. And then our main focus is that tropical wave that is sitting here in the central Caribbean that is bringing some heavy rainfall here to Hispaniola. That's our main focus that we've been paying attention to for the past couple of days here. And as we continue to see it, it's going to continue moving off to the west here. The 40% chance still continuing on, hasn't really gone up or down over here for the past 2 days. And we're going to continue to see the possibility for some development in the region right over here off the coast of the Yucatan, Belize, and then Honduras. Here we could be seeing that possibility for some formation in there, and as well as the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. The best opportunity is to definitely look at these models, because we were seeing some models bringing in as a tropical depression and tropical storm here before it makes that Yucatan landfall, or it does bring it into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. But the question obviously is, does it get pulled off to the north? Does it get pulled in just west? So something to pay attention to, is we're seeing a little bit of difference with the models this morning. Taking a look here at the IR satellite, we're paying attention right now here to the tropical wave here out in the western Atlantic here in the Caribbean. There's our big area of thunderstorms still continuing to blow up over here over Hispaniola and Dominican Republic. We're continuing to see some of these bigger storms continue to kind of blow up over here just south of the island here. We're continuing to also see a little bit of these thunderstorms blowing up on the western side here of this tropical system. That could be showing a little bit of signs of a little bit more strengthening and getting a little bit more act together here with the organization. But you can definitely see those little bubble clouds kind of pop up here in the last couple of hours. We're starting to see those thunderstorms starting to blow up and get a little bit more organized. But no matter what, we're seeing a lot of that moisture still continuing on into the Hispaniola region right now. But the dry air is still kind of pushing all of that moisture off to the east here. So this could be bringing heavy rainfall to the Dominican Republic for probably the next couple days, or not the next couple of days, but probably the next day or two at least, but still could have these lingering storms. So even though the storm could be over here by Jamaica, the more moisture that is pushed over here to the east, the more rainfall the Dominican Republic will get. So that's definitely something to pay attention to. We obviously have been paying attention to also the wind shear. Right now, the eastern side of the storm is considered in that wind shear right now. The center is not necessarily in all of that wind shear, but we do have increasing wind shear just south of Jamaica that will be possibly forming over here in the next couple of days as this storm continues to push off over to the west. So it will be going through a little bit more wind shear, and that's why the National Hurricane Center has its specific area for development here, because off the coast here of the Yucatan, Belize, and Honduras, that is our best opportunity, is one of the best opportunities for formation, because there is a decreasing amount of shear in that area. And then same thing with the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. That blue dashed line here, that means we have decreasing shear in that area. And then we see a straight white line here. That means we do have a increasing shear here, and this is over the past 24 hours we've been seeing this, so something to be paying attention to as we go on. Obviously, over the past couple of days and all of that, we've obviously, and actually over the past couple months, we've seen above average water temperatures, obviously here in the Caribbean and especially the Gulf of Mexico here in the Western Gulf. But we can clearly see where the storm is continuing to move off of. We can see 30 degrees Celsius in majority of these areas here off the coast of the Yucatan. We can see some on Belize and the Honduras area. We can obviously see 30 degrees Celsius. Once it crosses over and gets into the western Gulf of Mexico, 31 degrees Celsius off the coast here of Mexico and possibly off the coast of Texas. The question is obviously, where are the models kind of bringing it right now? Heading into the next 72 hours, we can clearly see there's a tropical system right there. No, this will most likely will not form here, but this is our main area right here, this middle one, that is expected to possibly head inland, probably over here in the next couple of days. We're going to see it head in probably over the 90, probably next 5 days. So heading into this weekend, this is probably where the system will be. Pretty good chances here, according to the European, with the probabilities of at least a tropical depression forming in this region. We can see the chances are a lot more higher in the Western Gulf than over here in the Western Caribbean. So that's something to be paying attention to very closely. The European ensembles have had definitely a big change overnight, and we're going to take a look at that here in a second. Kind of with the probability, you kind of can see it a little bit here. Yes, it starts to die down a little bit, but some of those models do bringing it now into the possible coast of the United States here in the Northern Gulf. We could be seeing a possible tropical system. Obviously, there's something to still to be paying attention to, obviously, because the GFS ensembles aren't necessarily saying that, but the European are, and that's something we want to pay attention to as we go on. If we take a look here at the GFS ensembles, low pressure still sitting down over here on September 7th. This is this Saturday. We could be seeing a little bit more of a westward storm as well as a more southern storm over here, just very, very close to Honduras. And then we'll head into making that kind of landfall, or that low pressure will go over Belize here. And then if it makes it even to a tropical system, then in the Gulf of Mexico, really, some models, well, it does seem like we do have some models that do bringing kind of over here into the Northern Gulf, which could be something to pay attention to, but definitely majority of the models do keep it still close into the Mexico coast here, but definitely could be having an issue here. So in the next video heading out tomorrow, we could be seeing a whole different scenario where these models heading to the Northern Gulf here, impacting possible the Gulf states, or Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and possibly even Florida Panhandle. Something to be paying attention to. This is the European ensemble, something I've really been paying attention to over the past couple of days. We can clearly see the agreement on Saturday here. A lot of those models bringing it into Belize over here as a possible tropical depression here. And then we can clearly see, you can already see some start to get pulled off to the north. Majority do keep it down here in the southwestern part of the Gulf of Mexico, though, and this is on next Tuesday. So obviously the system isn't moving as quick here. I would say the European does say it brings it in a little bit slower, but then by Friday on September 13th, we can clearly see some of these models are bringing it into the Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama coast here. So something to be paying attention to, and that could be a possible hurricane in this region. So that's why, no matter what, this whole, really all of this right here needs to be definitely on the lookout just in case here of a tropical system that does head into your state. If you live in the Northern Gulf, you want to keep an eye out, obviously, on this, because we're starting to see a little bit more of that consistency here from the European model in the ensembles, bringing it into Louisiana and Florida. But the question is, obviously, we could still be seeing some big changes with these models. So obviously there's something to be paying attention to as we go on throughout the next couple of days. We could be seeing some changes. This is the GFS 6Z model here. This is from this morning. We can clearly see our tropical wave not looking too organized right here. We can see a little bit of a low pressure system here on September 8th overnight. 1,006 millibars according to the GFS, bringing it a lot more south than what the European model is saying here, and kind of brings it into Belize, bringing some pretty heavy amounts of rainfall there into Belize and the Yucatan, and heading into just kind of keeping it into Mexico there, it does seem like, and really just will not bother the United States here. But I would say we do have a little bit of that energy that could push off over here to the north from this tropical system here that will bring some heavy rainfall in parts of the United States as well from this system. Heading into the European model, a little bit of a different scenario this morning. We can still see, maybe 1,009 millibar pressure here, September 6th, so actually brings it a little bit quicker than the GFS, but brings it inland pretty quick here by almost 2 days earlier than the GFS. Then we see a little bit of a different scenario. I think it does slow down here in the Gulf of Mexico according to the Euro, but the main operational run does bringing it into Mexico here, but definitely has a lot of some of that moisture heading into possibly even southern Texas, and that could be something to be paying attention to very closely. But obviously the ensembles have really kind of brought it really over here into possibly the Northern Gulf. So even though the model run is not saying that, we could still be seeing some possible thing in the Northern Gulf, and that is why if you live in the Gulf states, you need to kind of be on the lookout here, and that's kind of what we're looking at here with the ensembles. We can see majority of the ensembles here September 7th do bring it over here over Belize. Then we continue to see it over here in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Some of them are already up here, but then you take a look here at September 10th and 11th, we see a little bit of strengthening, and then some storm, some of the models and majority of them, of the ensembles, do bring it up here into the northern Gulf of Mexico, and that could be something to be paying attention to. So really, for the European ensembles, it's really this region that needs to be on the lookout for a possibility, but we could, once again, we could still be seeing some pretty big changes over here in the next couple of, hours, in the next couple of days. We could be seeing a whole different trend happen, so something to be paying attention to. And if we head into the GFS ensembles, it was a little bit of a different scenario, keeping it really off, weaker and off into Mexico here and not off to the north. So once again, you have the European model that's saying possibly the North Gulf need to be in play, and then the GFS kind of just keeping down here, and the GFS has been pretty consistent on keeping the storm pretty weak and heading into Mexico, but now the European starting to think it could get pulled up to the north. So something to be paying attention to definitely as we go on throughout the next couple of days. We have stuff we need to be paying attention to when it comes to the tropics here, no matter what, as this storm right here, this nice tropical wave, continues to move off over here to the west and will continue to pose a threat for Jamaica. Here will also be a big rainfall threat for you guys, and as well as possibly for the Yucatan, Belize, and the Honduras regions, and possibly even into Mexico, or depending on where the storm goes. So pretty accurate on where it's expected to go. Obviously in this region right here, that's where we're anticipating it to go. Question obviously is, after that, does we see a little bit more of a northern pull? It's a big question mark once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. So something to be paying attention to as we go on. So please make sure, if you're interested and you are living in any of these areas, please make sure you're following the National Hurricane Center and looking at these models that could be changing every 6 hours. We could be seeing a whole different scenario here from the last model run. So please be making sure you're paying attention to that. Follow your National Weather Service as well here. But thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to follow my X page down in the description here for my latest information on this tropical system here and any other tropical weather outlook here in the Atlantic Ocean, and just any severe weather update as well. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and I hope to see you guys all in the next video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.